Welcome to If My People, Bible reading 193. We're in the book of Romans, and we are in chapter 14, verse 3. You think that's tea? Deplorable. Actually, it is. I love tea. Romans is interesting because it opens doors to little hints I'm going to give you at the end before we get in the book of Luke. Luke was a physician, so the book of Luke will be written from a physician's point of view. In other words, what he says, pay attention to the detail. That doctors are good at detail. It's one thing that they have a gift of, and when they go into medical school, they take that gift with them. It's great detail. And if you've ever noticed, when you have a good doctor, you can see them every 3 months. And I remember, unfortunately, my mother loved to go to the doctor a lot, and I think she averaged almost every month for most of her life. She was always something to do with doctors and pharmacies, and sometimes she had surgeries that I'd ask the physician or the surgeon later on, because I knew a lot of them working in hospitals. I said, "Did my mom really need it?" No. He says, "You'd be surprised, Bruce, how many surgeries are performed that are paid for by themselves and having health insurance that are not necessary and never have been, but they make the patient feel better." That's very true. Wow. In that, over 65% of our nation is currently on some kind of a prescription medication, altering our DNA. It's a very interesting time that we're living in. So, hey, let's get in the Word and not get depressed over that. Let's get into things. We're in part 193, and we'll start in Torah, verse 3, chapter 14. The man who eats everything must not look down on him who does not, and the man who does not eat everything must not condemn the man who does not, for Elohim has accepted him. Eating everything means a lot more and means more than just eating food. In chapter 14, it begins with, "Accept him whose faith is weak without passing judgment on disputable matters." There's major matters and there's light matters. Most everything is light matters between men. Major matters is between you and the Father. There's your major matters. And if you want to make a point to a fellow believer, a fellow that you love, male or female, then do just what the Torah just said. Just don't look down on him for those who do. In other words, you go through and you spend hours with someone, and then they look at you and they say, "Well, all I know is I love Jesus, and I'm gonna keep up with Christmas because it makes my kids so happy, and I was brought up that way, and I don't see nothing wrong with that. I was brought up that way, and Easter bunnies, and I don't know why Easter bunnies roll around eggs and they're colored, and I didn't know it had anything to do with blood, but I don't think it does, and I've really, and I'm just, oh yeah, you're dealing with somebody on milk, and just let it go. But don't put your pearls among those people. They're the ones that probably eat pig. And it's okay because Jesus said it's okay. Now, all his Torah and Jesus wrote it all, was that we don't eat things that filter in this world. But since he died on the cross, it's okay. Because we know better, because we cook it real good. Yeah, if you ever notice somebody who eats a lot of stuff like that, kind of looks like what they eat. All right, better leave it at that. Whoa, hitting home too much, huh? All right, verse 13. Therefore, let us stop passing judgment on one another. Instead, make up your mind not to put any stumbling block or obstacle in your brother's way. Comedy used to be so funny. When things are serious, the comedians were capable of taking the worst stuff in the world and turning it into comedy. And they got their point across and making people laugh at the same time because Some things that you just can't control, you can't control. As we said in part 193, Yahweh's in charge of the big stuff. And that's all this crappy politicals stuff. Politicals. Verse 16. Do not allow what you... I'm starting like Matt Nolan. You ever see Matt when he goes off? And you ever notice that Matt really tones in on the Ruach? And then all of a sudden, bing, he goes off in one direction. And you can tell he's no longer in tune with the Ruach. But he loves people. He really does love people. There are a number of ministers I know who said, I just hate people. And then they're ministers. Oh, anyway, sorry about that, Matt. I probably get... Matt, did you hear what Bruce said to you about you? All right, don't worry, Matt. Not many people so far. Only shepherds listen to this. The sheep have left me a long time ago, and the heathens and the pagans and the people that just hate Yeshua, who cares? I'm not going to get to them anyway. I'm not one of those people because I'm deplorable. I do go to Walmart like once or twice a year, and no, I don't like going there. It's just like, it's like, are you kidding me? This is humanity? All right. I better say verse 16 again. Do not allow what you consider good to be spoken as evil. Verse 17, for the kingdom of Elohim is not a matter of eating and drinking, but of righteousness, peace, and joy in the Ruach HaKodesh. That's what they're talking about back in verse 3, okay? Some people say, well, it's talking about food. That don't make fun of me because I eat pork, and I like lobster. Now, God forbid all the lobster and the shrimp all dry up and the estuaries and the streams become polluted and the ocean becomes polluted because we, the people who are Christians, ate up all the filter that Yahweh Almighty put on this earth to keep the earth clean. Hello? Verse 19, let us therefore make every effort to do what leads to peace and to mutual edification, to edify, to lift up. Do not destroy the work of Elohim for the sake of food. All food is pure, but it is wrong for man to eat anything that causes someone else to stumble. Got to correct that again and again. We got to correct you, not the word. The word stays just as it is. Paul does not change his mind, and neither does Yahweh. So what he's talking about for the sake of food, all food is pure. He's talking about what is already told to you by Yahweh to eat. It's all pure and it's okay. But it is wrong for man to eat anything that causes someone else to stumble. And that includes saying and doing something that has nothing to do with food. He's just using food as a segue to understand. Don't do something. Don't sit there and say, you need Jesus and you need that and be smoking cigarettes or a doobie. Smoking a doobie. Hey, I'm old enough I can use the word doobie, okay? I remember the doobies, the Cheech and Chong doobies, the great big Churchill size. You ever saw that movie, Cheech and Chong? Never mind. Okay. That's what they're talking about. It's not all about eating and drinking. But in eating and drinking, don't get drunk. Don't go to someone's houses and eat all their food. I went to one lady's house one time and I saw the look on her face. I ate too much of the, I forget what it was, Mexican food. I took too much off the plate. There was like 6 people going to eat, and I took about a third. And boy, the look I got on her face. And I don't think she ever forgave me. Sorry, I wish she had, but she never left me with the impression she ever did, but I didn't mean to. Sorry, I ate too much. It was good food. I was trying to compliment her, but that was a mistake. I didn't know that's all it was. Verse 22, so whatever you believe about these things, keep between yourself and Elohim. Blessed is the man who does not condemn himself by what he approves. There's where gossiping comes in. Yahweh, I don't know, over and over again says, do not gossip. He hates it. If there's something that important, it's between you and him. Keep your mouth shut. If you want to stay out of trouble in this world with other humans, keep your mouth shut. The worst thing is to say this guy never shuts up. That's me at times. And then the best thing is that person never says anything. When I'm with a bunch of people and they're talking about political issues and religious issues, and they're putting them all together, I usually pull back. I am not going to get involved. And they sit there, why doesn't Bruce say something? Say, Bruce, say something to this group. And we want to know what you're thinking. We want to know what your brother's thinking. You're not going to hear it because the people are not ready for it. Chapter 15. Accept one another, then, just as Messiah accepted you, in order to bring praise to Elohim. He accepted me, a freaking disaster. He knew further down the road than I knew where I was going to be in 5, 10, 15 years later. Again, verse 10 in chapter 15. Rejoice, O Gentiles, with his people. His people. You rejoice with his people, fellow believers, because they all understand. That's why we get together 3 times a year at least as a congregation in our gathering for a feast, because we can all be in one accord. Otherwise, you're in the world the rest of the time, and we're not in accord. Again, praise Yahweh, all you Gentiles, and sing praises to him, all you peoples. Peoples means mixed multitudes, all grafted into the tree. Verse 27, they were pleased to do it, and indeed they owe it to them, for if the Gentiles have shared in the Jews' spiritual blessings, they owe it to the Jews to share with them their material blessings. Now we're talking about what kind of Jews? We're talking about those who were all the disciples, all of them that were gathered together in one accord, and had the Ruach fell upon them in tongues of fire, and they were on fire when they all went out, because they spread out all over the place. There was some persecution, so Yahweh used the Romans to shove them along and get them out of Jerusalem. No, and Jerusalem was taken over by the non-believing people who believed in Messiah, but they wanted a mean. They wanted a soldier. They wanted to come in and kill everybody and get rid of the Romans and start the millennium and start the new kingdom all over again without Yeshua, especially without Yeshua. It's not talking about those Jews. Talking about believing Jews. Verse 17, I urge you, brothers, to watch out for those who cause divisions and put obstacles in your way. Now, this is Torah. That are contrary to the teaching that you have learned. Keep away from them. Paul went from congregation to congregation to congregation. Today on the pulpit, they said church to church to church, and he put his 2 cents in. He did not start those churches. These were started by all those who the Ruach fell upon them in those days, and then they literally exploded outside of that area. That's what they're talking about. That's what Paul is talking about. So, with that in mind, with you Christians, this is all Torah. With that in mind, for all you Hebrew roots, this is all Torah. All 1,050 commands. Newer and better Torah, is it not? We haven't. When we get to Hebrews and Book of Acts, and Acts puts it all together, you're going to see why, and this is kind of cool. Make note on that. You're thinking, now this is one of those silly chapters I don't care about, chapter 16. It mentions a whole bunch of people starting with, I commend you to our sister Phoebe, a servant of the assembly in Caesarea. Well, I don't even know where Caesarea is. Well, it's a little small area around Corinth in Greece, okay? I've looked these up for you. You're okay. What do all these things mean? They don't mean that much, except it's Paul's relatives and friends and dear friends and loved ones and all those others. But pay attention to verse 13, chapter 16, verse 13. Greet Rufus, chosen in Master. That means in the Lord. And his mother, who has been a mother to me too. Now, when you read a bunch of extracurricular history books, has nothing to do with Bible study, you'll see these names mentioned. And you'll see the words like Claudius, and you'll see high Roman officials. And you'll wonder, what's that got to do with anything? What it has got to do with Acts chapter 29, the missing chapter in most Bibles. And you'll find out that if you read that carefully, Paul did visit all these places through this family because he was not in chains. he was with this family. Wow. See you then. See you later. Bye-bye.